Now, the drama surrounding Donald Trump's possible indictment of a hush money paid to a porn star took a new twist on Wednesday. New York grand jury failed to convene as expected, pushing back a decision potentially into next week. With barricades outside Trump Tower and police on high alert, New York has been holding its breath of an unexpected indictment for days. Now, the tension peaked on Tuesday, the day Trump said he would be arrested, but he wasn't. Stormy Daniels says she had an affair with Trump. She claims the former U.S. president gave her $130,000 before the 2016 election to not discuss the encounter. Trump has maintained that nothing of the sort ever happened, and in 2018 told reporters he knows nothing about any payment made. If an indictment is filed, the 76-year-old Republican would become the first former or sitting president to be charged with a crime. A possible indictment would send shockwaves through the 2024 White House race in which Trump is running to regain office. Police have geared up for an arrest or self-surrender, which would see an ex-leader of the U.S. booked, fingerprinted, and possibly even handcuffed. The Times reported that Trump favors the idea of being paraded in front of cameras by law enforcement in what is known as a pap walk. As per The Guardian, Trump wants to appear in handcuffs if he's charged. Legal experts say things like handcuffs or pap walks should be avoided.
Witness tampering! Indict! Unauthorized retention of national security documents! Indict!
This case could be scheduled for trial as early as the fall, probably no earlier than that. But that's just when the primary season is warming up, and the primaries will begin in February with Iowa and New Hampshire. Okay, that's going to be something he's always going to have to answer. He's going to be in New York some of that time, and he may also have other prosecutions. And then we have a list of prosecutors who want him to come to their jurisdiction for trial, and there could be still other charges elsewhere we haven't heard about. Okay, all of that consumes time, damages his reputation. It may get greater support from his core base, who thinks he is being wrongfully picked on and persecuted. And that's why I think the various prosecutors have to be very careful they don't look like they're just trying to humiliate him. I would tell them to avoid things like handcuffs or perp walks, because that does look like deliberate humiliation. Just focus on the charges.
Trump has been citing a political witch hunt. He says it is an attempt to take down the leading candidate in the Republican Party. Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stepped up his criticism of the former U.S. president. Remember, DeSantis is widely expected to jump into the 2024 race against Trump for the Republican nomination. Here's what DeSantis said when asked about how he differs from Trump.
People have been quite kind of scathing. They've said you're house-trained Donald. What are the differences between you?
Well, I mean, I think there's a few things. I mean, obviously, the approach to COVID was different. I mean, I would have fired somebody like Fauci. I think that he got way too big for his britches, and I think he did a lot of damage. I also think, just in terms of my approach to leadership, I get personnel in the government who have the agenda of the people and share our agenda. If you bring your own agenda in, you're gone. We're just not going to have that. So the way we run the government, I think, is no daily drama, focus on the big picture, and put points on the board. And I think that that's something that's very important.
Trump's former lawyer turned enemy Michael Cohen, who has testified before the grand jury, told Congress in 2019 that he made the payment on Trump's behalf. The payment to Daniels, if not properly accounted for, could result in a misdemeanor charge for falsifying business records. That might be raised to a felony if the false accounting was intended to cover up a second crime, such as a campaign finance violation. In the United States, campaign finance violation is punishable by up to 4 years behind bars. Legal experts say the argument will be difficult to prove in court, and any jail time is far from certain. An indictment would begin a lengthy process that could last months, as the case would face legal issues and move towards a jury selection. Trump is facing multiple legal challenges and investigations. Cases include his handling of classified documents and his alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential elections. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Spencer Critchley from Monterey in California. Spencer is a political analyst as well as a former communication advisor on the Obama campaign. Spencer, thanks very much for joining us at this hour. What do you make of this case against Trump?
Well, I think that it's one that pits two fundamental values of democracy against each other. One of them is we are rightly extremely reluctant to bring legal charges against elected officials, especially very senior elected officials, because doing that is a characteristic of failed democracies and corrupt authoritarian regimes. And so that's why it's done so reluctantly. But on the other hand, another fundamental principle of democracy is the rule of law, not the rule of a single person. The rule of a single person, which is what Trump is actually pursuing, is autocracy, and it's directly opposed to democracy. So I think in this case, as reluctant as we must be to bring legal charges against politicians, in this case, the defense of the rule of law is absolutely crucial. And I think that the district attorney in New York is exactly right to go ahead with it.
Spencer, if Trump is indicted or arrested, what do you think that will do to his campaign for re-election at the White House?
Well, I think, as others have suggested, for his most committed base, it will probably be a boost because those folks are operating in what you might think of as a pre-modern, pre-Enlightenment world that has a lot more in common with the Middle Ages, when you would swear loyalty to your king. And whether the king might have violated some law or not was irrelevant to you because you had sworn your life to him, and he essentially was the law. Also in this worldview, symbols matter much more than facts and logic. And in fact, facts and logic are often seen as the tools of people trying to oppress the supposedly great nation that needs to be liberated by this great leader. This can all sound crazy to rationalist liberals, but this is actually fundamental to the right-wing authoritarian worldview. And so that's why seeing Trump arrested, I agree with your commentator, and seeing Trump in handcuffs would actually probably provoke deeper loyalty amongst his most committed followers. But the rule of law can't be influenced by that kind of consideration, or else we don't have a rule of law.
So do you agree with what Elon Musk said, that if he's arrested, his image will grow and he will become more popular?
He will amongst his most committed base. But Elon Musk, as brilliant as he is in the technology and business worlds, unfortunately is suffering from a condition that's all too common amongst people who are brilliant in one field, is that they assume they're brilliant in other fields. And his political opinions are incredibly poorly informed at the level of childishness, really. So I don't think people should think Elon Musk is a reliable political commentator, as brilliant as he is, as I say, in other fields.
All right, I've been talking to a political analyst and former communication advisor on the Obama campaigns, Spencer Critchley. Thank you for talking to WION World is One today.
My pleasure.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.